Welcome back to Church Street. Y'all, we are so grateful that you would take the time to listen to this podcast, to take the time to hear what it is that we have to say. I am really excited about what we're going to get to do today, because we were able to welcome our contemporary worship leader, Gary Edwards, home last week, and we were just talking about it. Maybe it's selfish of me, but I'm glad that he is home, and I'm excited to get to hear his story today. So my name is Zach Stiefel. I'm the senior pastor here at First Grapevine Methodist Church, and as I just said, I am joined by Gary Edwards, our contemporary worship leader, and of course we have Paul Beals, who is off camera, but making sure that we sound good and look good along the way, and Paul, we're grateful for that.
Yes.
So, Gary, I've alluded to it. You have been gone, and now you're home. Tell us about what you've been doing for the past couple months.
Well, I was blessed to be offered the position for a new Off-Broadway musical called This Is Not a Drill, written by a woman by the name of Holly Dubé, and it was a fantastic experience, one that I actually was not looking for, and I got a chance to spend, I don't know, a little over 8 weeks in the Big Apple, as they say. I've been to New York before, but not for that long.
Yeah.
It was a life-changing experience, to say the least.
I believe it. I'm excited to hear about it. So, This Is Not a Drill. Can you tell us what the show was about?
Yes. So Holly has a home in Hawaii, or vacations in Hawaii quite often. And so I think it was around the year of 2017-ish that Hawaii was hit with a possible missile alert. This was, in fact, a false alert.
Praise.
But praise God. But the guy who was in charge of sending out alerts missed the fact that it was a false alarm and put it out there as if it was an actual missile attack, atomic bomb missile attack on Hawaii, which I don't know about you, but if I were to ever get a text message on my phone saying, "Hey, look, alert, there's a bomb coming your way," that would scare the bejesus out of me. And Holly was there during that time, and at that time it felt real because in the news, or rather on Twitter, Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump during his first, I think, stint at president were going back and forth about whose nuclear bomb button worked better, and I mean it was quite believable that this was an actual situation. I think at that time Kim Jong-un were doing a bunch of tests on atomic bombs and things or bombs and things of that nature, nuclear bombs or whatever. And she, as the way she explains it, she gets this alert. There's some people that think it's real, some people think it doesn't, and then it just perpetuates, and it's a snowball effect. And as she says, for the next 38 to 40 minutes before they were told that it was completely false, they were trying to figure out what's the best way to die. Not the best way to live. What's the best way to die? Which is, that's insane. That's a crazy question to ask yourself. So, do I die on the beach? Do I die in my room? Do I, take my chances and have a couple more extra breaths in this shelter that's totally enclosed and, possibly if it all falls down, I may not be able to get out. So lack of air. But yeah, it was a crazy time. And she said, in her words, once she went to therapy, got a divorce, she decided to make a musical out of it. Why
not write a show about it?
That was a crazy thing to even fathom. If I'm being honest.
It's funny. So my wife and I got to come up and see the show on the last week of it running.
Yes.
And the morning that we saw the show, we had breakfast with some friends who live in Manhattan, and we were talking to them. They were asking me what the show was about, and I gave them my not as good spiel as you just gave. And I asked him, do you guys remember when that happened? And the husband goes, "Oh, I had a friend who was terrified to travel, would not do it. ended up on his honeymoon in Hawaii at that time. And he said it was like 3 or 4 years until he got on an airplane again. After that, he just wouldn't do it.
Man.
And I'm
I don't blame him.
curious. Yeah. Right. I'm curious though. You said you were not looking for this position. So how did this come to be?
I've done some work with a theater here called Jubilee Theater, historic theater here in Fort Worth, and the creative director Wambui called one day, and this was maybe close to 6 years ago, and was like, "Hey, there's a lady trying to shop a new musical. She needs a black male lead who can sing," and I gave her your name, just if she calls, this is what this is. And I was like, okay, cool. He was like, it's paying. And I said, oh, well, if she calls, I'm definitely saying yes. Because at that time, at that time, I needed a little extra cash. And so she calls and she's like, hey, would you be interested? She kind of lets me know what it's about. And I said, sure, yeah, I'll come and read and sing whatever little songs you need me to sing. It's a reading, so I don't have to be off book.
Right.
So we do that here in Dallas, and after it's over, one of the main reasons why I was attracted to it, not just the story, but Paul Bogov, who is a well-known a writer and arranger and producer in the theater and cinema world. He's worked on movies such as The Lion King for Disney, Hunchback, I want to say even Aladdin, Pocahontas, and then Little Shop of Horrors. All those, I mean, like he's Aida during its first run.
Yeah.
He's a legend, and I know about him because I'm a Disney kid.
Sure.
So I was one of those kids who didn't just watch the movie. I read the back of the VHS. I wanted to know who did what. To this day, Howard Ashman and Alan Menken are my absolute heroes.
Yeah.
But yeah, those guys. Those guys are they're legends. What they did during that time period changed the landscape of animation and the musical theater world. And so when I saw his name, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm coming to do one thing: ask him as many questions as he'll allow.
Yeah.
And
did you find the limit?
Oh no,
okay,
never. I can every time I would like ask a little bit and then come back and ask and come back and he answered. He was so nice, so kind. But yeah, that's what really attracted me to it, and we did that, and I thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a chance to hang with Paul Bogov. I can put that on my resume. Woohoo! So maybe 4 or 5 years later, this year, maybe in March-ish. March sounds right. Holly calls and says, hey, I got it to New York for a reading in front of all the big theaters. And I said, oh, fantastic.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
I'm happy for you. That is completely amazing. She said, would you mind reprising your role? And I said, for the reading? Sure, yeah, I'll do that again. So we go to New York for that week, and I meet all these amazing people. And it's the first time I'd been in New York for more than like 3 days because of what I do. And what I do is usually I'm a background vocalist and arranger for different artists. I'm usually in New York 2 days tops.
Yeah.
It's really 24 hours. You come in, you fly in, you do your show, you leave.
Yeah.
Grab a pizza on the way out. But and so we came and we did that, and it was good to see Paul again. I continually asked more questions. He answered them wonderfully. Thank you, Paul. And I went home. Yeah. I was like, yay, okay, cool. This was great. I was glad I was able to help her do it. Her dream is. Again, not asking about this, not thinking about this. I get a phone call from her a week after, and she was like, hey, I think that this may have some legs. If it has legs and we go further, would you do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm thinking, like, if you get that far, go find somebody who's in Broadway or like has a theater background. Like, okay, cool. So 3 or 4 weeks after that, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah, it's quick.
It's really quick. Usually when you do a reading in front of big theaters, for those who really don't know about theater, this is a money-based, can you sell tickets industry. So it isn't about if the play is good, what are next steps. It is if the play is good, who has the biggest check, and who's willing to gamble on the idea that this can be a money-making machine.
Yeah.
I hate to say that because it's the arts, but hey, it's also a business.
Right.
And so it takes time. People have to look at film and see. And 4 weeks later, she calls and she says, "Hey, the president of the York Theater called and wants to do This Is Not a Drill." I was like, "Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fast. Okay, cool. Congratulations to you. Much success." She was like, "So are you still going to do your role?" And I was like, yeah. Sure. She's like, "It's Off-Broadway." I was like, "Oh, it's okay. Cool." I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, it was just a blessing, and that's kind of how I got to it.
Yeah. How cool.
Yeah.
And you just talked about, there's a lot of people to choose from in New York City around acting. And I remember talking to you right when you got there you're surrounded by people who have worked their whole lives to be actors, and you've worked your whole life to be a singer.
Yeah.
How was that? How did that feel being in that?
Imposter syndrome. You've like-minded work ethic, respect for one another's craft, but make no mistake about it, I can't do what they do extremely masterfully well. They can't do what I do extremely masterfully well.
Right.
There's just different pieces of this puzzle. It's like, you respect Michael Jordan as a basketball player, but you also respect Derek Jeter. And as much as Mike tried, Mike could never be Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
And as much as Derek Jeter could try, Derek Jeter could never be Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
It just won't work. They are specially gifted for that particular purpose. And so that's what I ran into. It was, how do I stay on par with people who are especially gifted for this purpose? And they've spent, the whole 10,000 hour analogy. They've spent 100,000 hours, like I have, mastering this one thing. How do you stay on par? And I remember the first meeting I had with the young lady who played my opposite, my wife in the and This Is Not a Drill. Her name is Aurelia. She's amazing, a Broadway vet, super, super dope. And I said, my whole goal is to make sure that no one writes that you carried me. That's it. I was like, that is my goal. That is my mark. If I can make it to where you can move seamlessly without having to do things to make it feel like I'm to par. Yeah. We got ourselves a show. Yeah. We have ourselves some scenes. And so I was like, I may ask a few questions. I may do this, that, and the third. And she was Aurelia is the ultimate professional. She was so kind. She was so nice. She was patient. And then when I started to get it, she was also encouraging. She challenged me. Playing against somebody who knows what they're doing, is a lot. It's a lot. It's like playing horse with Kevin Durant. It's like, I can't do that, friend. How do we get here? And she was super, super kind. And I remember when the first couple of reviews came out, and people talked about us a lot, our scene. No one ever mentioned that the acting fell off. No one ever mentioned that our singing fell off. Everyone was very positive about the role that we played as Derek and Sophie, who were our characters, and how we basically, our scenes were show stealers. And that made me feel so good because I didn't tell her this explicitly, but I was doing my best to not ruin her career. Sure. And not that this one show could do that. Yeah. But, in my brain, I'm thinking, you didn't sign up to act against somebody off Broadway who barely has done any theater work in his life, So, yeah, that was the cool part. Yeah.
And I understand that I'm very biased toward just about everything you do, but you did a really good job.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that.
And I read those reviews too, and that's what stood out was y'all, Aurelia, and you what I read was were the most engaging, I think. Like, you were the easiest to, like, put yourself in their shoes when watching it.
Yeah.
And this was my experience as well. Y'all were the best singers. And, again, I'm biased, but that's what the reviews said.
That's what the review...
That it was just fun to see. And so tell me about your cast. How many people were there? What did that look like?
So this was actually a very small cast for the job that needed to be done. And shout out to our swings and / ensemble members who they end up actually being ensemble members. Tisha Vaughn, who is also a Broadway vet, does a lot of swing work on Lion King and a bunch of other things. And then Javier, who is just amazing as well. I think he just booked a big role. I don't know if I can talk about it or not, but I won't talk about it just for the fact that I don't know if I can.
Yeah, for safety's sake.
Yeah, for safety's sake. He just booked a really big Broadway role, and I'm very, very proud of him. Awesome. They were, so it's 8 principal casting members, and those 8 principal casting members are really like your leads. And so you had Javi, you had Tisha Vaughn, who are swings, Javi covered every male if necessary. So if something ever happened, Javi had to know all of our stuff.
I actually think he played in the night that I was there.
Yeah, he played it someone else. And then Tisha Vaughn covered every female, which she had to cover Aurelia's role early on. Due to, I think Aurelia was sick or something like that. But yeah, they were fantastic. Then you had Victor and Bill, who Bill was there for a while and then he had to leave the show. Victor was fantastic. Also kind of played several different roles. And then there was Kelvin, Kathleen, and Spoon, who were the Hawaiian family that you saw. There was myself and Aurelia. There was Felicia, who played the role of Jessica, who was kind of the main part of the story. Holly's the imaginative version of Holly, who went through all of this. And I don't think, Matt and Chris, who played Chris and Tony. Chris is actually Holly's son.
Oh wow!
And yeah, so that was really cool. And I've known Chris since the Dallas read, and wonderful individuals, both of them. So that was kind of the cast. Yeah. Very, very small cast for what was, when you look at the grand scheme, especially since you've gone. We definitely needed like 2 or 3 more people.
Sure. So even just for helping move stuff around.
Yeah, we were all doing all these. Oh, and then I'm so sorry, I forgot these 2 amazing people. Lucas, who was my dressing room mate. Lucas is fantastic. He played the anonymous button guy. Okay. Fantastic. And then Douglas, who took over for Bill when Bill left, who is another Broadway vet. And just amazing individual. If you're on socials and there's this guy that does these kind of funny theater jokey style things that I can't even describe it. It's like things that happen in theater that if you're in theater you know exist. And at the end his tagline is "Master it," and it's hilarious. So I've followed Bill for not Bill, but Douglas for like maybe 2 years. Oh, so wow. When I heard that he was going to take over Bill, I was super excited. I'm like, yo, I know this guy. Yeah. And he was super, super kind. But yeah, that was the cast.
That's awesome.
Oh, and Marianne. Jeez, I'm so sorry. My mind is slipping. Marianne, who played the owner and CEO of the Hibiscus Hotel. And she also was, she played opposite of Jessica, who was Holly, played Jessica's mother as well. So
it's pretty funny. In the show that we were in, I guess it must have been Holly, the writer, was sitting a few rows behind us, but there was a lady who was literally directly behind Cheryl and me who made no bones about the fact that she tried out for the grandmother spot, and she did so good in her audition, but then didn't get it. I was like, ooh. And she even sang along with y'all a little bit. It was interesting.
That you said it was no, it wasn't Holly. It definitely wasn't Holly.
Maybe it was somebody else. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Holly was at that time. Holly was actually in London shopping the play in the West End.
Okay. Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so
Yeah, so not Holly, but
yeah, not Holly. Yeah. But no, that's kind of messed up. But yeah, kudos to you.
And so you're coming from Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
You go to New York. How do you build chemistry with the team as quickly as you had to?
I'm not gonna lie, the experience that I had is something that I don't experience often. When you get a bunch of people in a room who have a level of success, it's very hard to put down egos. It's very hard to know when to let an ego shine. It's very hard to say, okay, I'm gonna tuck mine here so that you can do this, and then bring mine back out. I mean, we had our hiccups here and there, but almost from day one, everybody came with the idea of let's collaborate. And that's one of the first things that stood out to me, the level of want to collaborate. It's like, if I help you and you help me. I mean, you had people helping folk that had nothing to do with their scene, their character. Everybody wanted everybody to win.
Yeah.
And because what really started that was our beautiful director, Gabriel, who has worked on things such as Hamilton and other major productions. I want to say he was an assistant director on Hamilton during its first run. So yeah, Gabe is incredible. And our ADs and stage managers, everybody, the writers were there with us every day throughout rehearsals, and so everyone had this collaborative spirit. Like, there was a clear direction, but Gabe may say in a scene, Gary, if you are my character played an alcoholic who was struggling in his marriage, really to find purpose for himself, and also dealing with his estranged son. I wouldn't say estranged son, his son who he couldn't really relate to, who you find out kind of midway that the son is gay. And so he's struggling with this idea. He's struggling with himself. He's struggling, trying to grapple with the fact that I love my son, but I don't know how to love him in the way that he needs to be loved, which he finds out it's just love. Yeah. There's no special kind of love. And so he was like, have you ever been in a situation where you felt unheard? Of course. Have you ever been in a moment where you felt lost? Of course. Well, what is that moment? Would you mind sharing? I would share that moment. He said, okay. And we talk about it. And then he look at the writers and say, okay, so Gary, how would you actually say that line as Gary? I would say it this way. And the writers were saying, okay, well, what if we did this and we did that? I said, I wouldn't mind that. And this and that. Does that feel more natural, Gary? And this is Gabe. It does actually feel more natural. Okay, well, let's lock that in. Gary, let's switch this line. Da-da-da-da-da. And that was the process. Wow. And it was really, really fun because now these characters become real. Yeah. Because you're responding, and I'm not really responding as Gary, but because I have experienced pieces of who Derek was, I was able to give him, and it's going to sound random, but we were almost able to give each other blood transfusions. Like you were able to merge something that doesn't exist with something that exists and find a very happy medium of alive. Yeah. And it was really cool.
When I was in seminary, I would take Greek classes. I was terrible at Greek. And I was going in for tutoring from a different professor because, again, I was struggling with it. And he goes, Zach, you really get it when you start to think in Greek. I was like, I'm never going to think in Greek.
I don't think anybody does.
But that's what I'm hearing is like you and Derek started to think alike.
Yes, 1,000%. I was able to take a lot of life things that I've gone through. And I've said this several times. I used to have a terrible, and it wasn't just one addiction. It was how can I say this? I used to have an escapism addiction where I knew what would allow me to escape. And I would go hard with that, whether it was alcohol, whether it was pills, whether it didn't matter. I was on it, and that was for a very long period of time in my life. So much so that I almost destroyed everything. Yeah. And thank God for the therapists and pastors and family members who allowed me to get past that, but who helped me get past that, by the grace of God. But I was able to relate to Derek in this place of feeling unpurposeful.
Yeah.
And I remember when that happened to me, my character has just retired. You would think this is the research that I did on my character. He's just retired. He's worked in the automobile industry for several years, very high up, a very smart individual. He and his wife are now in their golden years. She's retired as well. And life should be fine. You have a grown son who seems to be doing decent, but he has this thing that you can't connect to. It shouldn't be as hard, but Derek, his whole purpose was providing for family.
Yeah.
When that was over, he didn't know himself. And for me, my whole purpose, or I thought my whole purpose, was to get to a certain level, be uber successful, and do this, that, and the third. I remember my worst moment was I was on The Voice, and I had laryngitis, and I was getting ready to do the playoff round, and they had given me an ultimatum of, we can gracefully bow you out to where people realize you were sick, or you can fight to stay. And I chose to fight, and I knew that I wasn't going to go forward because I knew I didn't have what I needed. And in that moment, I thought, I've worked my entire life to have this kind of opportunity, and I'm getting ready to blow it. And I remember that night, I drank something like a $250, $300 tab. And this wasn't a suit. Now granted, I'm in I'm in Burbank, California, so it's a little pricey. But by this time, listen, we had gotten to know folk in there. But and people knew. It was like, yeah, they saw me that night, and it was like, yo, Gary's not okay. Had a roommate, Raytion, who Raytion is one of the best singers I've ever met, one of the greatest people I've ever met. And I was the one professed Christian on the show. So imagine the professed Christian. They pitted that against me on a few things, or used that as like fuel to sell or whatever. Imagine the one professed Christian at a bar, sloppy drunk. Oh my goodness. And it was terrible. And so I remember getting to the room, and I'm crying, and and Raytion comes, sits on the corner of my bed, puts his arm around me. He said, "What happened to that God you always talking about? What happened to him? You gotta believe in him, Gary. You've made all of us aware that he's real in your life. You gotta believe in him. Where'd he go? He hasn't left you. You're struggling right now. Okay, go out there and fight. You chose to fight. I would have fought too. Go out there and fight and finish it." And I remember just looking at him. I would have never expected Raytion to do that.
Yeah.
In a million years. He's a great guy, but not that.
Yeah.
And so when Derek has these moments, I can so relate to that. I can so feel Sophie, his wife, when she comes to him in some of those scenes and encourages him, like, "Hey, come on, champ.
Yeah.
Let's go." And so to be able to place myself in that didn't make my job easy, because now you got to tap into old stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But it made it authentic.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was told once by a very, very wonderful actor that authenticity is most times better than uber talent, because we get to see a human being versus an actor who can play a human being really well.
Yeah.
And there's a difference in that.
For sure.
And I leaned on that in this, because I'm not an actor. I'm not, and I know people keep saying to me now, "Stop saying that." Yes, you are now. But I think of it in how much time have you spent in it? What I believe that I am, or have gained throughout this, is I've learned how to rightfully place my authentic self in different places. Like it's the right placement at the right time, and I've learned enough to know when to give real pieces of myself to make a project or something better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's amazing. And man,
that's a really long answer, but
well, no,
yeah.
it was great. And I mean, that's your testimony, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for your vulnerability there, and it's amazing to see the grace of God through that, right? That even in low spots, even when we may be running up the tab doing things we don't need to be doing, that God doesn't leave us, that God's still there.
Man.
And
Are you serious?
Picks us up.
It was that moment will always stand out in my life as, I mean, could you imagine? I never forget the day of the playoffs. The executives always make you feel bad or try to scare you. And before you go out, and they say, okay, are you ready? You go, yeah, I'm ready. All right. There's 8.7 people watching right now. Remember, this is live. This is a live show. Nothing on the internet dies, so don't screw it up. Have a great show.
Wow.
And they send you out. You go, wait a minute. Wait, hold up. Pause. Okay, this is not another commercial. We go now.
Yeah,
It's time. And
this is not a drill.
This is not, no, completely. You mean we don't do this tomorrow? It's
Yeah.
not a double take? Okay, cool. And so you have to go out with that. And I remember that morning preparing for that show, knowing that I was running at 40%. I think that show I did, America the Beautiful, that was my last song. And knowing that I definitely probably wasn't going to make it through, and feeling like crap, like 8 million people plus the internet.
Right.
It's going to be watching me screw this up. And I don't know, there was a sense of just, why God? And then a huge wave of peace that hit. And it was like, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
If you go down swinging, you went down swinging, and that's all she wrote. And I thank God for those kind of experiences. Sometimes you can get so high on the horse, you forget what it feels like to just walk.
Yeah.
You got something walking for you. You got somebody carrying your weight. Sometimes this thing can't talk back. Sometimes you can't understand it. It can't understand you, but it kind of knows you, and you kind of know it. And sometimes you can stay up there so long that you forget what it feels like to use your own legs.
Yeah.
You'll complain, I don't know if you've ever been horseback riding, but if you're on it for a while, the thighs start to hurt. Boy, it's not a great feeling after a while.
Yeah.
But when you look at the mileage that you've covered, I would rather take this thigh burn over feeling like my feet need to be cut off immediately.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not being on the horse so long that you forget what it feels like how to walk. And I appreciate all the experiences God has given me, that he says, remember, you have legs. I've carried you, but you have legs.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, and this is maybe a hard question to answer. If you could pick one highlight, one thing that you would say is the best part about the whole experience, what was it?
One? Oh. One. So, about week and a half, no, 2 weeks and a half, I got sick. And I thought it was an average allergy sinus issue. And, went to the doctor, did whatever I need to do, and thought, okay, I'll be good in a week. Week 3 came, still sick. Week 4, worse. Week 5, losing my voice. Week 6, barely can speak.
Yeah, hard to talk.
Really hard to talk. And, this because you and I would speak to one another. And it wasn't getting any better. And I remember coming to the show one of these days, and I was, again, at my lowest. And Aurelia, who we always go over lines before scenes, she was like, okay, you ready? And I was like, I can't. And I just looked at her, and she just looked at me. She was like, oh, Gary. Because they all knew that I was struggling.
Yeah.
And no one knew why I was also not getting anyone else sick, so that really started to concern everybody.
Right.
What's actually going on? And I remember this day feeling like really, really heavy. Come to find out, there was something going on in my apartment that was causing my perpetuated sickness, which they ended up moving me out for those last 2 weeks. And I'm telling you, folks, the way I sound right now, as Zach can attest, I did not sound like this a good 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, almost instantly it changed, right?
Almost instantly. But for this particular show, I had nothing. And I was, listen, as a singer and a musical, I've done enough shows to not have certain things. I mean, listen, I did The Voice with laryngitis. I know enough tricks up my sleeve to get the job done. I had ran out of tricks.
Yeah.
There was nothing up my sleeve. There was nothing in my backpack. There was nothing underneath my hat. I didn't have a rabbit. I was all out of magic.
Yeah.
And there was nothing anyone could do to save me. So I did the show. It was terrible. One of the songs, I started to say the first words. Nothing came out. I tried to play it off like the microphone was jacking up. And then when something came out, people realized, oh, that's not the microphone. That's him.
Yeah.
And and I did the next song that way, and I left so defeated that day. And I remember right after the show, not talking to anybody. And I got out of there as quick as I can. Usually I go through the lobby to where all the people are to say hello and greet, thankful. I left out the elevator that day. I was disappointed because I felt like I left my castmates down. The next day, I get there. There's a big old bottle of alkaline water and IV packets. There's cookies. There's notes. There's cards from my cast.
Oh, wow.
Saying, we see you. Thank you for showing up every day. Keep going. We got your back. Don't worry. I know you're defeated right now. Don't stop. You're doing great.
Yeah.
That was the best moment. Had nothing to do with being on the stage. Had nothing to do with learning my part. It was feeling lifted by people who could have easily been like, bro, why you messing this up? And that showed me in that moment, God showed me in that moment, your work hasn't gone in vain. People see that you are doing everything that you physically can do as an actor, as a performer, as an entertainer to make this work. And yesterday, just you hit a bad patch. This is my way of showing you that not only I see you, but they see you.
Yeah.
You're not in this alone. This is a team. This is a family. And I remember after that show, I had a much better show. I had just gotten moved out the day prior, and it was almost instant that my voice started to relieve itself. What I was breathing in was causing such damage. A night of, 8-10 hours sleep is really damaging.
Yeah.
And so the first time I slept outside of that space and that place, it just opened my airways. And I remember coming back that night and, being a little bit more energetic and saying, okay, no matter what, I'm gonna go do my best. And that was one of the best shows I had.
Yeah.
And I remember the next night, we all circled up before each show. I thanked each and every one of them. I said, thank you, for being a rock in a very weary land.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. That was the best moment for me.
Yeah.
Of that experience. Having your teammates say, don't worry, we got you. Drink this little water. Get that smile, get that frown off your face. We're going to go in and we're not going to let you lose this game.
Yeah.
Let's do it together.
It's funny because you and I, we had talked a few days before, and I knew you weren't feeling well.
Yeah.
And like you said, your voice didn't sound like you felt well.
Man,
It
I didn't have
sounded
one.
strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we talked when you were moving out of the apartment. I remember you saying that you were wearing a mask and you were cleaning up and you were getting out of that place.
Yeah.
And we had this conversation of what does this mean? We didn't know how quickly your voice was going to come back. And the idea that the Lord provided in that, and that what we talked about was now you have a solid ground to stand on.
Man.
And you can only walk in a different direction. And I told you at that point that my favorite artist, my favorite singer has a quote where he says, we're supposed to win.
Yeah.
And that's a Gary Edwards line, sorry. But that's the truth, right? This is who God created us to be, is more than conquerors, to be victorious. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be the hardship. That doesn't mean that the difficult stuff isn't going to come, but you were able to, when you were wading through the wind and the wave, find the solid ground.
Man, and I'll do you one better. Solid ground never left. I lifted my feet up and said, "Oh my gosh, where is it?"
Yeah.
And I think it's staying. There's a kind of a an urban legend where I'm from, a hood phrase that says, stay 10 toes down.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, it stay solid, stay grounded. No matter the situation, you got to be 10 toes. And I think for me, even though I could not help what was happening, I took that as a test of God saying, when I throw you in a fire, when I place you in a prison, I'm referencing different moments of biblical characters and what they're going to do. When I tell you to go kill your son, when I say it's going to rain, when I tell you, they're going to kill me, I'm going to rise, but I'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to trust that my plan has a purpose. Mm-hmm. You have to trust that. You cannot be so, let me use this reference again, so high on your horse for so long that you forget, I got your back.
Yeah.
There's another way to get to where you need to go. It may take a little longer, but I've given you everything that you need to be equipped to do this. And it tested me. Listen, when you get to a certain place, and this is anybody, if you're a doctor, and one day you wake up, if you're a surgeon, one day you wake up, you got arthritis in your hands.
Yeah.
One day, if you're a football player, and getting out the bed to tear your ACL,
yeah,
random things happen. If for me being a singer, and one day your voice leaves, and you're doing everything physically and nutritionally possible to make this thing work, and nothing is working, that hits you in a space and in a place, especially if you've reached a level of mastery, it hits you in a place and a space that you feel useless.
Yeah.
And it was in those moments that God continued to remind, hey, as I think that he talks to me, come on, big dog, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's move, baby. We still got 2 more quarters to play.
That's right.
Let's go.
And is it okay that I share your personal prayer on a Sunday morning?
Yeah, no.
Every week before you get up and you worship and lead worship, you ask God, eject me.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think about it often, that we can get in this place of, I've done so much to get here. And sometimes we just got to hear, eject me, Lord, and put yourself in that seat. Man,
that's the gospel right there.
Yeah.
Eject me, Lord, and start driving this car.
Yeah.
That I think that I move, not realizing that you're the engine,
yeah,
you're the gas, you're the piston, and I'm just the passenger that you are allowing to steer.
Yeah.
But Jesus, take the wheel, quick.
That's right. I love it. Well, now you're back. You had this amazing experience. What do you take from what you did and learned off of Broadway, and how do you translate that back to the church?
The first lesson is collaboration. Collaboration with the mindset of possible new ground being broke. And I'll explain it like this. Holly lived it. She wrote it. So she was very married. You saw an 85-minute play. When we first got the script, it was 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
So imagine being married to all this storytelling and then being told, yeah, we got to chop that down. The level of trust being able to be coached and release for the idea of a better process that Holly had to take on was truly inspiring. And I think so many times I've worked in several spaces in the church. When you feel entitled is a terrible word to use, but when you feel married to this idea of what has worked, but being able to be open enough to look at something that could be a better way. And my prayer for First Grapevine is that even though we have done that in many ways, at least for the time that I've been here, to continue to foster that idea so that we can move forward.
Yeah.
And continue in this collaborative vein that allows us to see what has and what will.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only time, that's the only way that you grow, is to be able to move in that forward tracking. The only thing that happens when you move in place is that you create a hole.
Yeah.
That's it. And if you're not moving forward, one, you're not softening new ground, but two, you don't leave tracks for people to follow.
Yeah.
You just leave a hole for people to drop in. And my prayer for any church is that we continue to track forward. Number two, being and doing what's necessary to be equipped to function at a high level.
Yeah.
What I noticed, every actor had at least 5 to 7 years of Broadway experience. You would think with that level of experience, you kind of have it. Every day, every single actor, I watch them want more.
Yeah.
Look for more. Look for ways to grow. Asking one of the more veteran actors, which is Marianne, who was one of the, I forget the writer of Sound of Music, but when it came to Broadway, she was the last. I forget what's the little girl's name on Broadway. I mean, on Sound of Music, I forget the little one's name, but she was.
Know this. Can't remember.
Okay. Well, anyways, she was the last version of her that the original writer of Sound of Music actually casts.
Oh wow!
So she's been in this a long time. To see somebody, and she's done incredible works. I mean, if I went down the list of things that she's been in, that she's led in. Marianne, first of all, is one of the greatest people I've ever met. This has nothing to do with church, but her stories on Studio 54 should be in a movie.
Yeah.
She is a New Yorker, full through and through, and to some degree, theater royalty.
Yeah.
And to see her, someone who's in her 70s, late 70s, come in every day searching for something new.
Yeah.
Like that was inspiring to see Marianne. Okay, so how can I do this? Okay, does that work? Okay, well, how can we make it better? Okay, where do I need to be? Would you rather that? Okay, tell me if this is that wasn't good. Okay, how can we? Dude, you don't have to. You could say I'm gonna do it this way, and everybody in the room would go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
There was none of that. It was every day we're gonna search and do more. I hope that as a body of Christ, sometimes when you get to a level of, I've heard this saying before, once saved, always saved. I'm saved, or I known Jesus, I was baptized at 10. That doesn't stop your tracking with getting to know who God is in your life. Mm-hmm. You have to continue to move forward, or the same thing will happen, which is you're going to stand in place, you're going to dig a hole, and everyone that's close to you is going to fall in this hole.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the version of Jesus that they get is the version that you got at 14. 14 Jesus to you does not look like 44, 45, 34, 24, 54.
Yeah.
You know more. It's like saying, if could you imagine if Picasso, let's say if his first starts of paint was watercolors. Mm-hmm. But he started to learn more about oil paints. Could you imagine if he said, no, I'm not going to learn more. Yeah. I'm not going to do more.
I'll stick with the watercolors.
Yeah, no. If you know there's not a single person on the planet that knows more and decides to do less.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Michael Jordan said, "Oh, I'm very talented in college. I think I'll stop here."
Yeah. I'll stick with layups.
Yeah, no, or a doctor. You know what? I did 4 years. I don't need to complete my residency. No.
Yeah.
I think Christianity is one of the few places, or people who deal with religion are one of the few places where we get very content with where we feel comfortable.
Yeah.
No one really wants to move outside of the comfort level.
Right.
And when you really break down the Gospels, everything that Jesus did was outside of the comfort level.
For sure.
1,000%. And somehow we've reduced that to a comfort level.
Yeah.
And I one of the things that inspired me and I hope to bring back is this level. It's not about not being content. It's about, okay, we've gone this far. How much further can we go? Mm-hmm. It is this constant mindset of there's something new to learn every day. There's something new to embark on. There's something new to grow every single day. We're not going to be in the same space forever.
Yeah.
There has to be a vision of how do we prepare the hearts and the minds for the second coming of Christ. Mm-hmm. And not how it only pertains to me, but how does it pertain to the person to my left, to my right, behind me, and in front of me? How can I lead even if I'm sat down?
Yeah.
How can I lead if I'm in front? How can I lead if I'm behind? How can I lead if I'm on the side? How can I lead if I'm just a spectator? Mm-hmm. What am I doing in my everyday attitudes and my everyday body language to push forward this wonderful, beautiful message? And that those two things, collaboration and not being content with what is comfortable, mm-hmm. That I pray to bring back. I pray that I pray that never happens. I've seen wonderful churches die mm-hmm. with that mindset because people just don't. People are very satisfied, and it's like he said, give this message to the world. And lately, it's just been to the people who fill these pews.
Yeah. Hmm.
When's the last time you spoke to your neighbor? When's the last time you asked somebody how they was doing that wasn't part of your nucleus?
Yeah.
It's this thing is bigger than you and I. Mm-hmm. And the moment you realize that Jesus didn't just die for you and your mess, that he died for a bunch of messes that you may not ever see.
Yeah.
It opens up your mind to the possibility that there's greater and bigger things and bigger plans if you would just allow God to inhabit your life.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's a good word. That's a really good word. Well, I'm getting the wrap up signal here.
Yeah, no, he definitely gave us the 5. It was very polite though. He was like, I don't want to give you this 5, but I'm gonna give it to you. All right.
He doesn't want the conversation to end either.
You see how slow his hand closed?
Yeah.
It was like, yeah.
Well, Gary, thank you. Thanks
Thank you.
for sharing your story, sharing this experience with us.
And can I say something to every church member here at First Methodist Grapevine who texted me, who called, who spent their hard-earned money to fly to New York to get a ticket for this. God bless you. Thank you. The support was needed more than you know. Every time I saw your faces, it brought joy. My castmates began to get uberly jealous because nobody traveled from several states to see them, but they did for me. So thank you. Thank you very, very much. And to our lead pastor, Zach here, thank you for taking time off a very, very, very busy schedule here, doing the work that you do here at First Grapevine Methodist to come see. Thank you to you and Cheryl. I truly appreciated that.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, that'll be my final note. I was really, really proud of the way our church supports our own.
Yes. Yes.
The show ran for 5 weeks.
Yes.
And there was somebody there
almost every week.
Every single week.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And like you said, I'm glad that you felt that because from where I was sitting, I was like, man, that's just cool that
1,000%.
We're in this together and we're going to support each other. So
yes.
Thank you to those. And thank you to you, our listeners, for taking the time to listen to this. I hope it has been impactful for you. I hope it has stirred your heart and your soul. Paul, thank you for everything you do. And Gary, again, thanks to you. But until we see you next, have a good day.